Sun comes in those windows and lights out, so we had to cover up the windows. I didn't think I was making this up.
I think you wore that for your interview.
I was still in the Coast Guard.
That's crazy. Yeah.
You still fit?
This party we used to have. Like the olden days, right?
Before COVID?
Yeah.
Like
Look at you. Nice. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
You too.
Have you got to see your new house when you left?
He cleans up good, doesn't he?
That's impressive. All right, so I got a chance to talk to you today.
What are you going to do for all this time on it?
So you'll find things to do, I'm sure. I'm working most of the time out, so you'll have to find some things to do.
You can always come over here and
as much as I do. Get in there. Thank you.
get pretty close.
Get excited. Oh, we got 6:58. Hey, Mike, how the US flag they have there? Slid down. Slid down the wall.
Call to order Kent County Levy Court Combined Business and Committee Meeting, Kent County Administrative Complex, 555 Bay Road, Dover, Tuesday, September 15, 2020 at 7 p.m. sharp. Mr. Pedamage.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we begin the meeting this evening, just a few brief words on this meeting. We are joined over the telephone line by guests who may be viewing and also participating in the meeting over the conference line. And so we want to advise everyone that this meeting is being recorded. It is an official proceeding of the Levy Court, and there will be minutes prepared as part of the permanent record of this proceeding. For those who may be joining us via the telephone conference line, we ask that you keep your phone on mute except for when you are prepared to make statements to the commissioners at the appropriate time. And we will prompt you periodically throughout the meeting when there's opportunity for public comment on how to unmute your phone. Before making comments, if you're on the conference line, we ask that you state your name for the record, and when you're finished speaking, please indicate that you're finished speaking so that we can move on. We will be following all of the rules of procedure that have been adopted by Levy Court for public meetings, as well as the Mason's Rules of Order for this meeting. And at this time, Mr. President, I'll turn the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pedamage. First item on the agenda is invocation by Mr. Angel. Pledge allegiance to our flag, Mr. Pepper, and a moment of silence for our troops and first responders. Mr. Sweeney, all rise.
May we be at an attitude of prayer, please? Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect our community and its citizens. And continue to remind us that we do what we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth and the greater glory of you and the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing
for a moment of silence to honor our military members, law enforcement officers, firefighters, paramedics, and other first responders who have lost their lives protecting and fighting for our freedoms. We also honor those law enforcement and other first responders, nurses, and doctors who have succumbed to COVID-19 virus complications contracted through close interaction with infected patients, losing their lives caring for others. Law enforcement, Sergeant Ricardo Perez Ortiz in Puerto Rico Police Department, Puerto Rico. Police Officer Brian Brown, Tohono O'odham Nation Police Department. Police Officer Tamaris Leon Wesley Bohannon, St. Louis Metropolitan PD in Missouri. Corporal Brian Searcy, Wayne County Sheriff's Office in Michigan. Captain Stanley Curtis Elrod, the Department of Natural Resources in Georgia. Trooper Thomas William Devlin, Massachusetts State Police in Boston, Massachusetts. Detective James M. Skirnovitz, Cleveland Division of Police in Ohio. Police Officer Sean C. Peak, Bridgetown Police Department in New Jersey. Investigator Luis Mario Herrera, Lincoln Police Department in Nebraska. Deputy Sheriff Ryan Hendricks, Henderson County Sheriff's Office, North Carolina. And K-9 Blue, Gwinnett County Police Department in Georgia, who lost his life due to gunfire. If firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, and other first responders, Captain Joseph Lytle, Monroe Township Fire Department, Monroe, Michigan. Helicopter pilot Thomas Duffy, U.S. Forest Service contractor in Belgrade, Montana, lost his life in a helicopter accident fighting fires in the forest fires there. Firefighter David Kloss, Sr., Avis Fire Company in Avis, Pennsylvania. Firefighter EMT Diane Jones, the KL Farms Fire LLC from Crescent, Texas, was fighting wildfires in Somerville, Oregon, and lost her life. Captain Fraser Lee Holbert from Carrollton Fire Rescue in Carrollton, Texas. These are people who deserve our thanks, deserve our prayers. Please keep them and their families in your thoughts and prayers tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We need a roll call to determine a quorum. And for the record, Mr. Hall called us when the last hour. He had a procedure today, is unable to make it. And Mr. Howe will be on the phone with us this evening as we proceed through the meeting. With that being said, Mr. Tanaka.
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Buxton?
Present.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell? Absent.
Here.
Oh, Mr. Howell? Present.
Yep, I'm here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Banta?
Present.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Lori. 6 commissioners present. We do have a quorum. Need a motion on the agenda.
So move, Mr. President.
Second.
We move to second, Mr. Angel, Mr. Pepper, to approve the agenda as you have in written form. Any questions about that? Hearing none, Mr. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Lori. 6 affirmative votes approves the agenda as we have it in front of us. Need a motion on the minutes of Tuesday, August 18th.
So move, Mr. President.
Second.
Ready to move to second, Mr. Angel, Mr. Sweeney, to approve the minutes of Tuesday, August 18, 2000, and August 25th, 2020. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Lori. 6 affirmative votes approves the minutes of Tuesday, August 18 and August 25th. Presentations. First item, Resolution 3800, retirement of Michael Richard McDonald. Ms. Tanaka.
Yes. Whereas the retirement of Michael Richard McDonald an employee of Kent County, State of Delaware, from his duties as Director of Facilities, Department of Administration, Facilities Management Office, presents a suitable opportunity for expressing the esteem in which we hold Michael Richard McDonald as a good and faithful public servant. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Kent express its warmest appreciation and thanks to Michael Richard McDonald for the able and loyal manner in which he performed his public duties. Be it further resolved that this resolution be his evidence of a right to the pension provided by the Kent County Employees Retirement Program, and that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the September 15th, 2020 meeting of the Kent County Levy Court.
Gentlemen, this is a resolution. Need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve, Mr. President, Resolution 3800.
Second.
Regularly moved and second to approve Resolution 3800 by Mr. Pepper and Mr. Angel. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
With reservations, yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Dick, I've known you for a long time. You've, under your tutelage and your guidance, this Levy Court building still looks brand new, and we very much appreciate it. I very reluctantly vote yes.
Mr. Banta?
Well, after many years of service to our nation and 22 years of service to our county, I vote no. But, since I hear all these yays, I will vote yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Voice, six affirmative votes approves Resolution 3800, retirement of Michael Richard McDonald. Mr. Petimage, would you be kind enough to... Sorry? Is someone on the line? Okay. Mr. Petimage, would you be kind enough to make that presentation for us?
Sure.
And then any commissioner wishes to make any comments, once that is done, feel free to do so.
Reluctantly, I will be honored to present this to Dick. Let's keep our distance. But first of all, look at this presentation. Now, I don't want to, embarrass you or anything. How old is that you?
I retired in 97.
You retired in 97. It still fits like it was made for. And Dick, here's the resolution the commissioners just passed. Hand it to you. And let you know that it's been a pleasure to work with you for years here in the county. You were here before I got back. The entire time I've been county administrator here. You've been a go-to person. You know, Judy knows it. A lot of times when there's early morning, night, or mornings, I'd be calling you. Talk about weather, get ready for the day. On the weekends, if something's going on here at the building, call Dick, say, hey, I want to 8 o'clock. You're always ready to come out and help, drop up a hat. I knew, you would take interruptions like that. And that's extremely valuable, and great public service you provide here. And as Mr. Sweeney mentioned, it lends testament to all of you, hold the staff to, the fact that it's the quality of commissioners maintain. And we're very appreciative of this time. So this is your second retirement, I take it?
Correct. 22 years in both places.
And you're not even 50, so I'm going to stop there. I know the commissioners have other things they would like to say, but on behalf of all your fellow county employees, congratulations. We will miss you.
So, Mr. McDonald, I think we'll do is go down the line. I'll make a couple of first comments, and then we'll go right down the line. Just anyone that feels comfortable making some comments, that'd be great. I've known you for those 22 years. I didn't know for you for the previous 22 when you were in the service to our nation, but I will tell you, with your service to the county, as the county administrator just said, you know, the complex itself always looks, you back at it, always looks in first-class condition. You answer every phone call I make to you. If you don't, you return it within 5 minutes. So much credit is due to you for that. And the property itself outside, it looks like we just moved in yesterday. So I can't explain to you enough how personally it means to me and to the people of the county. But to me personally, you've been a friend as well, and I respect that. I admire you, and God bless you for the future. Mr. Pepper.
Well, Dick, I was here when you were hired, and so I only thought it fitting that I make the motion to approve Resolution 3800. When you were hired back in 1997, I remember there was quite a few people that were considered for the position, and we took a chance on you, and what a chance it was. I mean, you lived up to everything that we hoped for. And, you know, just like everybody says, just look around. You've done an outstanding job. You've been a fantastic employee and a good friend. So I wish you the best. And in 22 years from now, I'm going to see if you still fit in that uniform. So take care of yourself and do everything that you want to do. And best of luck.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't know you as Michael Richard McDonald. I thought it was somebody new because I've always known you as Dick McDonald, our facilities management operator. But in the 16 years I've been here, we've come close, and thank you for taking the Code Purple flag and flying on those weather nights to help the homeless for the county. I believe Mr. Sweeney, Commissioner Sweeney's wife made the flag, and you made sure it flew to let people know it was the ambient temperature was below 32 degrees. So thank you. I wish you the best of luck, whatever your endeavors are. As your second retirement, I think you might be, you're not one to sit back and do things, but I think you're going to be moving on to a little cabin in Pennsylvania. I think was one of the discussions we had in the previous year. So the best to you, sir, and if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call. Thank you for your service.
Dick, I appreciate the chance to speak to you. I did not know, of course, until I get the packet, and good for you. Staring at 30 years. In fact, June, I'll turn in my papers and walk out of Polytech High School after 30 years. And if you're like me, you loved working there, but you don't mind going. There's a lot left to do, and it's going to be a good ride. So I wish you all the best. You certainly earned it. And I don't know if you're going to say a few words, but I'm also always appreciative when someone takes the time to wear a uniform, especially one that's got a lot of history to it. And so if you get a second and grab the mic, wouldn't mind a brief knowledge of where you started in that uniform and where you ended. You know, you don't have to take me all the way through, but maybe the start and the finish, because I'm sure it's a great story, and I appreciate your service to the country and to the county. Thanks.
Did you want to use the podium?
Dick, like I said in my yes vote, you've done a great job here. There's no place in this building you can't look and see any kind of wear and tear, because you've kept your staff up, cleaning it, making sure everything was right for us, and I greatly appreciate everything that you've done for the county. Congratulations on your retirement, and I wish I was you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Mike. Second time, and things change. And I've worked with and for some real good people, both in the Coast Guard and here, and I appreciate that. But there's been one constant the whole time. She's sitting over there. the Coast Guard wife, and I was gone a lot. She raised our kids and did a great job. Thank you for your support.
Commissioner Banta, hey, Dick, before you leave, I just got the signal that Commissioner Howe wanted to say something. We kind of, because he's not here in person, we may have forgot that he was listening.
He usually hollers, but he didn't holler, so go ahead.
Glenn, if you can hear me, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just, believe me, I'm there in spirit, but I really appreciate Dick's 20 years of service, and he really has done a good job, and we wish him the best in every way.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Next item on the agenda has been long overdue for Employee of the Month for April through August 2020. So we are going to proceed with that now, and we are going to do each one individually, and as each person's name is called, if they would come down to the podium, Mr. Pettimage will then hand you the resolution which indicates the month that you're honored, and we're going to do that very professionally as we move right through these folks, and we're in actually no hurry. It's a long time getting this done, and we apologize for that, but under the circumstances, we didn't have a lot of choices, but you're going to get that honor now. So we could start, unless there's any objection, we can start, get a presentation. The first one will be for April.
April Employee of the Month, Sierra E. Horney. Department of Public Safety, Sierra is currently a paramedic 2 and has worked for Kent County in the Division of Emergency Medical Services since September 2014. She earned her bachelor's degree in allied health in June 2018, and she resides in Commissioner Banta's and Pepper's districts.
Before you do that, Sarah, congratulations on behalf of the commissioners and your county family here. This is the resolution. Yeah. And turn the floor over to you, and then have something.
We'll make some comments first, if you don't mind, and then she can make a comment. But Sierra, absolutely outstanding employee and well-deserving for the month of April. And we'll see you, well, we're not sure yet about the Christmas party, but hopefully we'll all be there at that time. But fantastic job. We appreciate your service to the county. Mr. Pepper, it's public service, public safety.
Sierra, thank you for doing an outstanding job for the county. We really appreciate it. And, we say it a lot, and we really do mean it, that you folks portray the county in the best light possible, because you're out there every day riding up and down the road, responding to calls, helping people, and we really appreciate it, and we really appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Mr. Angel?
Thank you for your service, and keep up the good work representing us too, and yourself. Thank you.
Mr. Buxton?
Same thing. I'm glad to see everybody could get together, at least bring you all in. But I think it's fantastic what you do. I got to see some low-level action here about 30 minutes ago when I had to pull on the side of the road for someone who, it appeared, was in trouble. They were in trouble, but it wasn't too complicated. All right. But anyway, thank you. Thank you for your time and being here. Great job.
Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, President Banta. Sierra, congratulations. I see you covering up the mic. You guys are constantly on call, and I appreciate that. It's great to see other members out there as well that started the great clapping. That was a great job back there. You can see that you've got support from your peers. You have your support from Kent County Levy Court and all of the administration. So congratulations, keep it up. And for both your participation and what you do for the county, as well as all the paramedics and what they do for all of us. Thank you.
And Mr. Howell, if you're on the line, I'm sorry.
Sure. Sure, I'll make a quick comment. Sarah, greatly appreciate your commitment, and I'm glad that you've been recognized for being the excellent employee you are. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
I believe Chief Faulkner is also on the line. Chief, if you can hear me, it's the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, let me just preface by saying that all of our medics are outstanding. They really are. Sierra certainly echoes this fact in a very unique way. She's been with us since 2014, and she's been outstanding every step of the way. Clearly at the top of her game. She's been a mentor since early in her career and has been selected to lead the Department of Social Media efforts. Doing an outstanding job with that. It's really a pleasure to work with. I'm always willing to help. So, Sierra, this is our way of letting you know that we notice the good work you do, and congratulations to you. You're very deserving of this recognition. Thank you again for what you do.
So I think the floor is yours if you'd like to make a comment. Just step right over that microphone if you, thank you.
I don't really have much to say, but it's a pleasure to serve the community and keep everybody proud. Chief Faulkner, thank you for your kind words, and thank you for the recognition. I appreciate it.
Well deserved, and thank you. Appreciate your being here. Next one, Lori, would be Greg.
It's Gregory J. Mansfield. He was the May 2020 Employee of the Month from the Department of Administration. Greg started with Kent County in November 2015 and serves as a Computer Support Technician 2 in the Information Technology Office. He was previously honored in October of 2017, and Greg resides in Commissioner Sweeney's and Pepper's districts.
Thank you, Mr. Fedebaj. Greg, I want to say just one thing. I would hope that during your tenure with Levy Court, you'll be able to correct Commissioner Sweeney with all the mistakes he makes in technology, because he sometimes gets over his head and people like you bail him out. So we appreciate that. Thank you for your service. Mr. Pepper.
Greg, thank you. To be recognized not once but twice for this is really something to be said for your work ethic and how you get along with people and how you serve the county. So I really appreciate everything you do, and I realize yours is a job that is constantly changing. You got to keep schooling yourself or being schooled on how to keep up with technology, and I appreciate that. So thank you, and who knows, probably a year or so, probably see you in here again. So keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Commissioner Angel. I appreciate you pointing me out. For those of you who don't know, you may have remembered, you may have heard it in May, but you're going to hear it again. Greg was instrumental in making sure that when we went home, that all the software in the building was set up for remote access. That was a big task because we know how many of us went home during the COVID-19. And when everybody was home, Greg was here getting those computers ready to go. So we just saw a paramedic come in and get an award. Greg also provides support for public safety and all they do in a 24-hour environment. So he's not only doing things for all employees, he's also working for public safety and supporting all their needs as well. I'm hoping that Kim's on the line. If not, know that Greg is a go-to guy. He's the key guy in IT. It does my heart to see an IT guy get this. And regardless of what President Banner said, I don't make IT mistakes. So congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Gregory. Based on the comments of Commissioner Pepper and Sweeney, it's kind of hard to add more to that other than I hope to see you back in another 3 years, if that's the cycle you're doing it in. So keep up the good work and keep us well informed. And when we need to make those changes, let us know. Thank you.
Greg, I feel the same way. Nice job getting it twice. I would encourage that across the board from, all departments, that we recognize those that are excelling at what they're asked to do, and don't be afraid to reward them, and don't look for a singular reward. If that in fact is earned yearly, even monthly, then so be it. It just shows that you're setting the bar pretty high. So, nice job.
Mr. Sweeney, other comment?
Yeah, just one thing that I want to mention, along with Sierra Horney, now with Greg, there is a third person that's associated with our public safety group, and that's John Tinger, who's not able to make it tonight. So in this span of time, 3 people associated with our public safety department were recognized as employees of the month. So you're in good company, Greg.
Does anyone else have any comments to make here on the line? Mr. Pettibone.
Yeah, Commissioner Sweeney mentioned if Kim Crouch is on the line. I'm not sure she is or not, but if she is, Kim, you're free to speak at this time.
Oh, no. No, I don't think.
No, she's not here. Okay. Greg, the floor is yours.
Before you do that, I think Mr. Howe may want to make a comment. Mr. Howe.
Yeah, very simply, Greg, congratulations. You're a good worker. It's recognized by other people, and we're glad you're with us. Wish you the best.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just like to say that it's an honor and pleasure of serving the county, and I work with a lot of good people in the IT department. See 2 of them right there, and I enjoy this job. I've enjoyed this family, and I thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We now have July. Please.
The July Employee of the Month was Amy L. Minner, Department of Planning Services. Amy started as a Permit Technician 1 with Kent County in January of 2008 and currently serves as a Permit Technician 3. She was previously honored in October 2015 and August 2010. Amy also serves on the Harrington City Council. Amy resides in Commissioner Howell's and Commissioner Pepper's districts.
Thank you, Lori. So Amy, just come down here and get your
Just very briefly, Amy has always been a stellar part of planning services, and she's a joy to work with. We're very pleased to have her. And most recently, as Mr. Pettibone said, the last several months have been very, very busy in planning services and I&E. That coupled with the building closing in March and having to shift how we do business with the public, Amy took the lead in that and made it happen and kept it going as smoothly as possible. So thank you very much, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you, Sarah. Mr. Buxton.
Appreciate the opportunity to say something to Amy again. We had a meeting just the other day and heard a lot about the, situation, the times that we were in back in, let's say, March, April, May, June, and still exists now. So look forward to working with the department to try and get things more, moving along and support them, because clearly Amy knows what hard work's all about. So the issue doesn't come from the department out, it comes from us moving down to help them as best we can. I look forward to doing that. I appreciate your service to the town. I'm sure they value that immensely. And just keep doing your thing. Keep doing your job. Great job, by the way. Thank you.
Mr. Angel.
Yes, Amy, thank you very much for what you do. I know there's times where once a year we have a certain individual we have an issue with. We're still working on it together, so hopefully we'll get something done with that soon. But thank you very much for what you do.
Well, thank you, Amy. With Amy's experience, not only here, but with the town of Harrington, she could probably replace any one of us up here on the Levy Court. So one other thing that most of you probably don't know, Amy's probably the only one in the room here that's actually performed on stage at the Harrington Fair. So, see. Have you performed on stage? Is that when they had the small stage?
Steal her thunder, I'm sure it was much better than mine.
But anyhow, Amy, thank you for all your hard work, and thank you for representing us well. Best of luck to you.
Amy, thank you for your dedicated service to the county, and your work ethic is second to none. That's the reason you received this juncture Employee of the Month. So congratulations, great job at Harrington. I know it was falling apart there for a while, but you brought it back together. So congratulations for that as well. Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, President Bannon. Amy, congratulations. Along with getting the MGO ready to go for us, we greatly appreciate, which I'm sure every constituent in Kent County that has to come into this building is going to appreciate. That was extra work duty that we put on you during this tough time. But you guys also need to know that Amy is really an integral part of the Go Pink campaign for breast cancer awareness. That's the Kent County's participation in that. It's been going on for every year that I've been here, and probably many years beyond that. So everything you do for planning, everything you do for our county residents, and everything you do for that, we appreciate it, and congratulations.
I'm sorry,
Commissioner
I always
Howell.
forget it. Mr. Howell.
Yes, I'd like to say a word or two about Amy. Amy, you're a great source of information. You're an exemplary MP, and we're very, very thankful to have you. But I should also say I like you because you laugh at all my jokes. and we can't, that's an unbeatable combination. So keep up the good work, and I'll see you soon, hopefully without a mask.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Okay, Amy, the microphone is yours.
I appreciate the recognition. I like coming to work every day, even though my husband may hear things when I come home from work. But I like the everyday change. Every day is different, which is great. Sometimes you get a job where it's just constant all the time. I love the coworkers that I have. They have stepped up during the whole shortage. Code enforcement, planning employees came and helped us. So it wasn't just me, but I'm the face, but our whole department made it happen. So thank you very much.
And now, Lori, we have August.
August's Employee of the Month was Chris Ann Miley from the Department of Finance. Chris Ann has been a Kent County employee since July 2018 and holds the position of Accountant 3 in the General Fund Accounting section. Before joining the county, she worked as a state auditor in the Delaware Office of Auditor of Accounts. Chris Ann currently resides just across the line in Sussex County.
Little known fact, I think Chris Ann went to Pitt, University of Pittsburgh, so I thought you might have a connection there or something. Susan?
Thank you. To give you a little background information on Chris Ann too, I met her through us being audited by the state, and she worked for the state auditor's office. So I needed her on the other side of the of the aisle. She's done a terrific job during the COVID hiatus that we were on. You know, finance showed up every day, and there was a special group that came and did everybody's work basically and carried on everything, and even other, we helped out like and did the mail room, did a little bit of everything to keep everything. She was very key to that. She's also been key in taking care of all the grants and things like that and working with the CARES Act. And she's just my go-to, one of my go-to persons. I'm very fortunate I have excellent staff, but she's definitely been one of my best choices that I've made since I've been here. So I'm very pleased for her to have this honor tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. So it's up to us, gentlemen. Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, did you stay up and watch the game the other night? Oh, it was a great game. You're going to be proud of what we're doing, so hopefully that it'll keep going. Congratulations on this. I've had to monitor grants for school district and for the college that I work for, and that is a tough job. There's a lot to the terms, to making sure we follow it and we're legal, because if we don't, they could call it back, and then everything we got, we have to pay back. So people have to know that that's a critical part of what you do, and then stepping it up during this COVID-19 experience is a great thing. So we very much appreciate it, and congratulations on this honor.
Likewise, congratulations on being Employee of the Month for August. And come December, as I said earlier, if we perchance have the Christmas party, we may be handing out some checks to the winner of the Employee of the Year. So we'll see how that goes. But great job, and we're proud to have you on board. Thank you. Mr. Pepper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chris Ann, it's great for you to be here tonight to be recognized. Susan really thinks the world of you. You can tell how she talks about you, and it's really appreciated. The county has, we call them the Kent County family, and even though you don't live in Kent County, it's great to have you as an employee, and we really appreciate the work that you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, Chrissy, and I know working for Susan, you have to have a certain amount of decor and protocol, and because you're working under her, I know you have her back and the county's. So keep it up, and hope we'll see you again. Thank you, Susan.
Last but not least, all that's great. Keep it up. I like the connection you have with Commissioner Sweeney. I also like the connection you have with my daughter, 21-year-old daughter, who happens to be named Chris Ann Buxton. And so you're only the second Chris Ann that I've actually had the pleasure of meeting. So I even snapped a picture and sent it to her, and she's like, yay. Anyway, fantastic work. Keep it up. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Mr. Buxton. The microphone is now yours.
Commissioner
I'm sorry, Mr. Howe. I always forget him.
Yes, sir. I'll say, Chris Ann, you're obviously good with numbers, and believe me, people that have that strength are in great demand. I'm glad you're at Kent County Levy Court, and I hope you stay there. You're content, and you continue to do a good job and continue to get recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. It is yours.
I just want to say thank you. It was definitely an unexpected honor. And as Susan can attest, the Grants and I have a love-hate relationship, but it's more love than hate, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think the way we handled this evening was very professional and very sincere for all of our dedicated employees. So I think good job to the commissioners on that. Mr. Coelho.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have 2 new employees introduced to Levy Court tonight, and that honor goes to Director of Planning Services, Sarah Kiefer.
Good evening again, Commissioners. It is my pleasure to introduce 2 new members of Planning Services. Mark Shahan joined us July 27th as a building inspector. He comes to us with a background in both carpentry and HVAC. He absolutely hit the ground running for us at a time we definitely needed more help in the field, so we're very pleased to have him on board. Mark resides in Commissioners Howell and Pepper's districts, and then more recently, Lisa Rodriguez joined us August 31st as the senior secretary in our community development section. And she comes to us with a background as an executive assistant for the Delaware Standard Bread Owners Association, and previously was an executive secretary with DelDOT. Lisa lives in Commissioners Banta and Pepper's districts. She also has hit the ground running. That is another section where we've had a great deal of turnover very rapidly, and she's been an enormous asset to us. So I'm pleased to introduce them both, and I will turn the floor over to them.
Good evening. I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to have the opportunity to serve the members of Kent County.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Lisa. We appreciate you coming on board with us. And any commissioner want to make any comment, or the director of the department, if they're available? Bart?
I'd say that this Commissioner Howell, I'd say we're glad to have her, and I'm sure she's going to do quite well. Hope she's happy and continues to be content at Kent County Levy Court.
Thank you, Mr. Howe.
President.
Mr. Buxton?
I'll jump in rather quickly. Mark, I appreciate your service. We had a chance to chat a week or so ago. And keep up the great work. I appreciate you being here. And Lisa, just an interesting side note, your involvement as a member, or the assistant, I guess, executive assistant for the Delaware Standard Owners Association, Standard Bread Owners Association, kind of neat, brings back some memories because my father was heavily involved in that organization, or organizations similar to that many years ago, of course, actually as a founding member. So good stuff. Keep it up. Keep up the legacy that you're going to start here with the county. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Buxton. Any other commissioner comments? Bedmage?
Mark, would you like to address the commissioners?
I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity, and hopefully I serve you well.
On board. Okay. Okay, gentlemen, at this time we're going to move into committee meetings. The first item on the agenda, under Mr. Hall, who is unavailable to be here, Mr. Pepper. And I think Ms. Durham is here also.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, under Finance Committee, we have Resolution 3799 fiscal year 21 Delaware Transit Corporation reimbursable transportation budget. And Ms. Durham is here to help us out.
Good evening, and this is our annual distribution of the funds from the Delaware Transit Corporation. This year, our amount was $12 more than the last 3 years. And we basically went through the same process. This year was a little bit different because of COVID. A lot of the senior centers will have balances left over. We only had one that went over their budget. That was harvest years. And so, as I indicated in the memo, when they put in their budgets, they do it like in August of 2019 for 21. So they're just giving a guesstimate at that time, and then we use the actual facts of how the year went, which was FY20. Went from July 1 of 19 through June 30th of 20. And then we use that to make the estimate. And I also use a 3-year average, and which worked definitely in everybody's benefit this time because of the COVID. Their expenses over 3 years averaged out to be higher than, except for one, than their expenses in 20. We usually also add a COLA. I went ahead and added the COLA this year, even though there's truly not a 2% COLA out there, because of the odd times, again, where we were in June of 2020. So did you all look at the table? Is there any questions or concerns or?
Seeing no questions, I think we're good. Thank you very much. Any public comments?
Any public comments? Any public comments on Resolution 3799, fiscal year 21 Delaware Transit Corporation reimbursable transportation budget?
Anyone on the public conference line, if you press *1 on your phone, we will recognize you and release you from mute. And we see no one on the line that wishes to speak.
So being no public comments, I want to turn it back over to me.
Yes, all those in favor of transferring this to the business meeting? Be 5 up. Hal?
6 up.
6 up.
Thank you, Mr. Howell.
You bet.
Ready, Mr. Buxton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that Ms. Kiefer will be joining us momentarily, and she can explain the ordinance. I think there's several commissioners on here that are familiar with this request. It seems to be a good request, a logical one. So, Ms. Kiefer?
Surely. The first item for discussion is the cash in lieu of active recreation area in Barrett Farm subdivision. Barrett Farm was originally approved as a 337 lot subdivision, but they've just gone through Planning Commission to actually expunge most of it, and it will result in a 70 lot subdivision. Consequently, there is some open space associated with the stormwater management area right now, but the normal active open space they're asking to provide fee in lieu of providing. It's half an acre total, and that would result, based on the appraisal, result in $4,500 coming to the county. The Parks and Recreation Commission reviewed it, and they've recommended approval. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. Sarah, for those that are listening or for later, that $4,500 goes where in the county?
It's earmarked for Parks and Recreation, for parks development in the county, generally in that area.
Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Angel.
Is there a right-of-way to get to the property without impinging on any other right-of-ways for the property in the area? I had a hard time looking at the map.
There are certainly rights-of-way provided in the subdivision lots.
I mean, to get to
open
this portion.
For the portion that's actually going to be built.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
There's a portion of Barrett Farm that's built now. There are approximately 20 lots the current owner wants to build. The balance of it is going to be expunged. This is farmland. And the open space in question, the areas were actually in the area that's going to be expunged.
So, once again, I had a hard time hearing it. People can get to use the open space, whatever it's going to be used for, without impingement on anybody else's property.
No, they're going to pay a fee in lieu of providing the open space.
Okay, now I got you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I just would like to raise one, maybe a conversation to have considered down the road. Certainly not for tonight, but you know, as we build out, as we entertain new developments, this might make some sense to incentivize it a little more, because what we do have right now, or what we've had, large-scale developments with a lot of open space that has to be maintained, whether it's passive or active, and sometimes it conflicts with what the actual residents want when they actually start living there. So on paper, it looks really good, it looks cool, and then it's built, and then you get neighbor wars and stuff like that. You get cost wars because it costs a lot to maintain it. And then there's also arguments, well, we don't want people congregating there. So, you know, not that we're building it a lot, but maybe something to look at down the road, if somebody wants to look at it, is how could we enable the developer to maybe build on a few more lots in a development, eat up a little more open space, but then trade that open space to a more effective area like a park, which is kind of what we did tonight on a small. We're just not doing a lot of it is the problem.
Right, that's true.
So how do we incentivize it to begin to do more of it is the question that becomes relevant someday when we start entertaining new developments, because obviously right now it's not an option. So anyway, enough said. Are there any, well, we don't have to. We can move on to show of hands to move this one on. How's that going to look there, Commissioner, County Administrator, Mr. Pettit-Damage? We're moving it forward to tonight's agenda?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, fair enough. Show. Commissioner Howell, I assume you're in favor of this?
Yes.
Rock and roll. Okay, 6 hands affirmative, moving that forward. Ms. Kiefer, on to the next one.
Thank you. The next item is ordinance LC 2010, and this ordinance very simply, in the BG zoning district, general business, changes daycare centers from being permitted by conditional use to being permitted by right. It keeps the conditions that were already part of being a daycare center, so it just transfers it over to being permitted by right. It doesn't have to go through a public hearing. We had gotten a couple of inquiries about these, actually more than we expected, and certainly right now there's more demand than ever for daycare possibilities. So again, this just makes them permitted by right only in the BG zoning district rather than being a conditional use. I'm happy to answer questions.
In the game, or hoping to get into this market, I think it makes sense. It expedites the process, simplifies the process, creates certainty in the process. So those are all pluses. Commissioner Sweeney.
Thanks, Commissioner Buxton. Sarah, after the fact, when they come in, so I know that there's a lot of popping up because of homeschooling, not homeschooling, but distance learning right now. So they come in, they get their permit, they agree to the 50 square feet, we go out and inspect it, and next year, what if they change all that? Do we ever go back out, or does the state send anybody out to re-inspect these properties to make sure they're still in compliance with 50 feet per child, fences around everything, parking and all that?
Once we final out a project, unless we hear a complaint, we typically don't go back out.
All complaint driven?
Right.
Okay.
I'm not as familiar with the state standards, but I do believe there are inspection processes on the state regulatory side.
Okay, thank you.
Comments, concerns? Show of hands in support of moving this one forward.
Check on Mr. Howell.
Commissioner Howe, you in favor?
Yep.
That's good. I see 6 hands showing for moving this forward. Are there any public comments? Any public comments regarding these 2 items?
Anyone on the line who wishes to speak, please press star 1 on your phone to be recognized. Okay. No
Seeing none,
comment.
Mr. President. Looks like I'm up again.
Thank you, Mr. Buxton. With that being said, we will now reconvene the business meeting. First item under public hearings under Mr. Buxton, ordinance LC 20-07.
Ms. Kiefer, I think we teed her up nicely, but if we want to stay formal, I guess we have to.
Ordinance LC 2007 adopts the 2018 Property Maintenance Code. And as we discussed in August during the committee meeting, this ordinance includes a provision for municipalities to request the county enforce this code within municipal boundaries. It also incorporates a provision permitting our enforcement staff to issue tickets for non-compliance, which is just another tool to try to get compliance in enforcement situations. It includes the civil penalties associated with that. And as we discussed in August, it also includes some standards for landscaping that we haven't had previously as part of property maintenance. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Thanks, Commissioner Buxton. Yeah, right. So, Sarah, thanks for all the additions. I very much appreciate it. We know that the civil penalty structure, while a lot of people are not going to like it, they're probably the ones that are going to be guilty of not following some of the code and property maintenance that we know exist out there. And you're right, that is another tool. Standard maintenance for trees and shrubs, just in the last month and a half, Commissioner Pepper and I have great experience, and Commissioner Angel have great experience in situations where people have overhanging trees, and that we can certainly start to look at, hopefully eliminate the possibility of something like that happening again, although we know acts of God are not anything we can ordinate against. I would ask for the first item that's listed here for jurisdiction in municipalities. If you could meet with County Administrator, I'd like to see the Viola on the business meeting for the 29th.
I already spoke with the mayor, and we should be on. I don't know if they can make it happen for the 29th, but as soon as they're ready, we can do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
I spoke with the mayor this morning.
Perfect, thank you.
So, Mr. Buxton, it's back to you.
But if we're not trying to coach up, right? We're in a public hearing. Yes, right now. There you go. Commissioner Sweeney jammed you up a little bit.
No, I'm done now.
Okay, according to my agenda, we're down to potential items from the committee meeting under Mr. Buxton. It's not a public hearing, so we just need to make it's not.
Arguing with it all, so we are.
I'm just trying to make sure we understand, unless I misread this. If I understand, we had public hearings. That one was taken care of. Hal had his comments. Next to Mr. Pepper, he had his comments. That was they were both passed on the public hearings. Now we're under new business, on which time you have the right to make a motion, get a second, we get it passed.
President Band, I believe we still have to hold a public hearing on LC 2007. We haven't opened a public hearing yet.
Sorry about that. So now we'll open the public hearing ordinance LC 20-07. Is there anyone here in favor? Anyone here in favor of ordinance LC 20-07? Anyone on the line?
If there's anyone on the line that wishes to speak to this item, please press star one and we'll provide the floor to you. We're seeing no callers, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Pedamage. Is there anyone here in opposition of ordinance LC 20-07? Anyone here in opposition?
Same, if you're on the line and you wish to speak on this in opposition, please press star one. We see no callers, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Pedamont. The public hearing is now closed. Mr. Buxton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt ordinance LC 20-07, the 2018 Property Maintenance Code, to be effective immediately. Based
Second.
on positive comments, no public opposition, staff recommendation.
Second motion.
Regularly moved and seconded. Mr. Buxton and Mr. Sweeney to approve ordinance LC 20-07. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Ms. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reasons stated by Commissioner Buxton.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes, reasons stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, all reasons stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for all reasons stated, and the implementation of new tools for planning and code enforcement.
Mr. Banta?
Reasons stated by Commissioner Buxton and Mr. Sweeney. I vote yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. 6 affirmative votes approves ordinance LC 20-07. Next item for public hearing, resolution 3799. A new hearing. Anyone here in favor of resolution 3799? Anyone here in favor?
Do we see anyone on the line? Star one, please.
Anyone here in opposition of resolution 3799? Anyone here in opposition? Anyone on the line?
Doesn't appear anyone wishes to speak on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Pedamage. The public hearing is now closed. Mr. Pepper.
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion to approve Resolution 3799, fiscal year 21 Delaware Transit Corporation reimbursable transportation budget funds to the following entities: Mamie Warren Senior Center Incorporation, $30,000; Modern Maturity Center, $259,000; Harvest Years Senior Center Incorporated, $90,000; Frederica Senior Center, $90,000; Harrington Senior Center Incorporated, $30,400; Milford Senior Center Incorporated, $90,000; Kent Sussex Industries Incorporated, $8,038; and Modern Maturity Center Special Distribution and State Budget, $50,000, for a total of $647,438. Motion is to disperse that money as Resolution 3799.
Second that motion.
Regularly moved and seconded. Mr. Pepper, Mr. Angel to approve resolution 3799. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes, based on comments.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Lori. 6 affirmative votes approves resolution 3799. There is no old business. There is some new business. First item, Mr. Buxton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion that we approve the Baird Farm subdivision cash in lieu of active recreation area.
Second motion.
Regularly moved and seconded. Mr. Buxton, Mr. Sweeney to approve Barrett Farm subdivision SL 05-34. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, Ms. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Lori. 6 affirmative votes approve subdivision SL-05-34. Next, item number 2, Mr. Buxton.
Advice of counsel, I'm going to say introduction of ordinance LC 20-10, child care facilities, for public hearing on Tuesday, October 27, 2020 at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Buxton. The next one is yours also, sir.
Thank you. I'm also going to have an introduction of ordinance LC 20-09. It's an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map designation in the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware, for public hearing on Tuesday, October 27, 2020 at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Buxton. Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introduction of Resolution 3802, a resolution to extend the Kent County Stormwater Maintenance District pursuant to Chapter 22, Delaware 9 of Delaware Code, for public hearing on Tuesday, September 29th, 2020 at 7 o'clock p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. At this juncture, we will be recessing to executive session, and we will be returning once that's concluded. So at this moment, we'll go back to the conference room, have our executive session. Thank you.
months later because of any.
No. That was because anybody who voted through mail.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll now reconvene the business meeting. First item on our new business, Mr. Angel. When you're ready, sir, there is no urgency.
Thank you, sir. Okay, everybody's on board for this? Correct? Ms. Quayle, we don't need to do anything but read the motion, correct? Gentlemen, is that all right? Okay. Recommendation motion, I move to authorize the President of Levy Court and County Attorney to execute the memorandum of understanding as presented, which settles a pending grievance related to Policy 4-2 and Article 11-4 of the collective bargaining agreement with CWA Local 13101, representing wastewater treatment facility employees with a $1,500 maximum.
Second motion.
Regularly moved and seconded. Mr. Angel, Mr. Pepper, to approve the memorandum of understanding, CWA. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell? Is he absent?
He's not on, back on.
Okay, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you, Lori. 5 affirmative votes approves the motion as made by Mr. Angel. Mr. Pepper, item number 2, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move to go into executive session immediately following the committee meetings of September 22nd, 2020 for preliminary discussion on site acquisition for a publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining or pending or potential litigation, and personnel matters pursuant to 29 Delaware Code 10,004 B2, 4, and 9.
Second.
Going to move to the second to go to executive session on September 22nd, 2020. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell? Absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
5 affirmative votes. Approves us going to executive session on September 22nd, 2020. Any informational items? Mr. Pedabaj?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, as you know, we've been continuing to deploy dumpsters for the cleanup effort relative to the Hurricane Isaias and the tornado. To date, through yesterday, we dispatched 107 dumpsters and counting, so we're still getting demand. We had several new requests today come in, and although it is starting to slow up, the frequency, we're still deploying. And the way it's working now for the areas that we're getting calls for, we're actually going out and verifying that there's substantial enough debris to warrant a dumpster. So that's ongoing. And also today we received a reimbursement request from the from the city of Dover for the costs associated with Rubicon. And the total cost collectively was just about $3,000. There was about $1,000 worth of donated money from various charitable organizations. And so the balance, the split between the city and the county will be about $995 apiece. So, you know, for the level of work that was delivered here in Kent County by Team Rubicon, that's an extreme value. And they were here for just under 2 weeks of work, labor, bringing the equipment. And really all we needed to do was feed them and house them. And housing was provided by the Capital School District. So anyway, that's in process. We'll be reimbursing the city for our portion. I just wanted to report that to you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fetterbosh. Any other informational items? Mr. Sweeney?
Yeah, just a question for Mr. Pettimonge. What is the status of the piece of equipment that we rented?
The status of the rental equipment, we still have the large excavator. It's currently deployed at Tidbury Park, and they've been using it to remove the tree debris there and clear off the dog park so that we can begin to reconstruct that. My understanding is they will be back, folks from the treatment plant will be back there on Friday to continue that work. And so we ended up renting that piece for a full month because the marginal cost after 2 weeks was negligible. So we still have it until, I think we have another week yet on the lease.
So in the meantime, if we have debris that needs to be lifted into a dumpster, we can still go through Ms. Gold to do that?
Yes, basically the way in communities and neighborhoods, the way we've been deploying that is anything they can pick up from the right of way. You know, so we don't want to be taking that large piece of equipment on anyone's private property. It could damage underground utilities or anything like that. It's very big and heavy. But if we can pick things from the right of way and put them in a dumpster or move them to a dumpster, that's really what we've been using that for.
That's perfect. I can tell you, Commissioner Angel, that little green machine he has is amazing at getting piled up debris that we've been cutting and getting it out to the right of way so that the county can come through and pick it up later in the week and put it into dumpsters. Should we continue to call Ms. Golt for tipping the dumpsters and returning them?
For collecting the dumpsters when they're filled, is that what you're?
Yeah, you tip them, then you got to bring them back because we're not done.
Yeah, you could either that or call my office, speak to Kathy Finney, or Jill Johns, also in planning, has been there's a little team of people collaborating on that because the call's been coming from different directions, or Diana, you know, whichever. We're kind of keeping a master list of all of that through Jill Johns and.
There are some areas that we may just pile the stuff up and wait for Commissioner Angel to get his tractor back.
Yeah. As you know, it takes us about a day to get a dumpster out to a site. You know, but if you call it in, we can place the order and it'll be there in 24 hours usually.
Cool, thank you.
Mr. President.
Any other, yes, sir, Mr.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of Commissioner Sweeney. The pile that we made this past week is about 3 dumpsters full of material with the dumpster already being filled. I don't know if it's been picked up yet, but because they're requiring 48 hours for dumping, coming and picking up, what's the rules now?
Well, it's generally if we get an order in before 3 o'clock to have a dumpster picked up, emptied, and returned, they'll usually do it by the next day, unless there's there've been a couple times during this dumpster rodeo that they got so busy that they couldn't get everything in one day. But normally, particularly GFL, they're like a 24-hour, provided we give them notice by 3 o'clock. And then we also been using Republic, mostly up in the northern part of the area where the damage was, up around Sheffield Farms and so on. But that's generally the rule for both companies. So if we know that there's a dumpster full, that's the key. We need to know it's full so we can place the call to have them come and get it. And if it needs to be a return or just a removal, either way, they'll do it for us.
Because I was going to request a second dumpster for the area where we're working at, because like I said, it's already full. We have at least 3 dumpster piles right now that I put out there with my tractor, and my tractor's in the shop, and I don't know if I'll get it back this weekend to continue to put anything in a dumpster if it's empty. Mm-hmm. So is it possible to get an extra dumpster in that area?
Sure, we need to know the location and the road, and also if there needs to be space for it, you know, so.
There's plenty of space as a parking lot of the church.
Well, you know, gets a little dicey when we start putting it up on private property like that. We like to keep them, if possible, you know, either on, we've been doing individual, like residential lots, but or on the street.
Well, where this one's at is between houses that we're working with and the church and the street, which has already got one on it. Actually has two on it, on both sides of it, and they're full. When they get filled so quick. That's why I was wondering, instead of having it sit around, maybe we can get rid of it sooner. Because since we got the claw, we only have, what, another week?
Yeah. Mhm.
So I just would like to see us utilize something that can really fill it quick and get rid of it. Because like I said, I don't know if I'll have my tractor back in a week or two. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking. And Commissioner Sweeney can probably give you the address and stuff. That's his area we've been working in.
Mm-hmm.
And then also my area, which I just learned of, which I was just explaining to you, there's about $70,000 to $100,000 worth of trees that has to be cut on this guy's property. We're trying to locate him. He's a disabled vet. He's in Maryland right now. I don't think he knows his yard. It's about 70 yards of trees down. You can't even walk in his property. So it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. There, I know we've already deployed several dumpsters this week. Actually, the calls came in late last week. And we'll continue as they're needed. Obviously, we don't provide the labor to get the trees cut and everything. They need to do that, but the dumpsters will be there if they need them. On the other challenge we are with the piece of equipment is our biosolids people are getting busy doing other work with Ken Organite as well. So Diana did pull some folks back to the plant, but they're going to be freed up Friday. My understanding is to go back to Tidbury to work some more. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but we'll work around that. Once they're on the piece of equipment, they can put a good day's worth. I mean, if there's material to move, that machine will move it. You know what I mean? So we can take a look at this dumpster situation and see what we can provide. We just can't be blocking driveways or placing. We don't really want to. We'll just need to take a look at what we have, and any ones that are full, they need to get picked up. We just need to know about them.
Well, I got a call from Representative Bush last night, and he's getting with Senator Pardee to get some volunteers, and he was hoping I could do it this Saturday based on if I got my tractor. But I also have a function this week, and I don't have my tractor, so there are some people that they're trying to put together. Is it possible we can offer some overtime on a Saturday to help out too, if we still have the equipment?
It's possible, yeah. I mean, in fact, that's when we first started. We were talking about that, but then we found out that right now the biosolid, or at least during that August time period, the biosolids people weren't really busy because the crops were still on, and they weren't really spreading Ken Organite. So they're starting to get into that now. But the overtime would be voluntary. If there's someone wanted to work it, we'd have to look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other informational items? Any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, any commissioner comments? Mr. Angel.
Thank you. The memorandum that was in our packet also has a confidential statement we voted on tonight. Please don't leave it on the desk or in the packet. Take it and give it to Alan or Mike. Just as a reminder, don't leave it laying around or in the trash. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Regularly move, Mr. Angel, Mr. Sweeney, that this meeting be adjourned. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none. Lorraine Tanaka, please call the roll.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell? Absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
5 affirmative votes. We are adjourned. Thank you.